Much. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for Lunch with Lucy. My name is Kate Remillard, and I'm on the marketing team at VHT Studios, and I am your co-host today. Before we get started, just need to mention a couple of things. If you have questions for our guest today, add those to the Q&A box on the screen, and we'll get to those as we go and save some time at the end. And then also, you're going to want to stay to the end because we will announce the 5 winners of our $25 DoorDash gift cards. And then lastly, be sure to go to Lucy's YouTube page. I'll put the link in the chat. Subscribe to that, and you're going to unlock a ton of content that she works really hard creating, including the archives of Lunch with Lucy and a bunch of other interviews she does with industry experts. So check that out. And that's all I have for my announcements. So now I will introduce Lucy herself. Here she is.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And today, as you know, VHT and Metaport and also Tour Factory joined the forces. So we are one strong, happy family like no other in the whole wide world. And our guest today is Brendan Dowdle. Brendan is Vice President of Capture Services at Matterport Capture Services Division. Hello, Brendan.
Hello, Lucy. Thank you for having me on the show today. So I'm very excited to be here. As Lucy mentioned, so I run the Capture Services Division here at Matterport. You can think of Capture Services as the services arm of Matterport that supports all of our customers from residential real estate to commercial real estate in their capture needs, from marketing to AEC use cases to even facility management use cases. But really excited to go deep on the innovations and the investments that Matterport's making as it relates to promoting a property and how you can use Matterport in a 3D digital twin.
And please, I encourage you today, we're going to have some polls. I encourage you to participate in those polls, as well as please ask questions. It's the best time ever for you to pick Brendan's brain. So here we go. And the first question that I would like to ask you, Brendan, is what is digital twin and how it is different from a regular 3D tour?
So digital twin is not a name that's kind of well understood, but it does more effectively describe, what the technology is that Matterport provides. And the way that we think about a digital twin is the virtual representation of a physical space that really includes all of the geospatial and contextual data of a space. And so if you think of that, that's the real core of the digital twin. And a virtual tour then is a derivative asset, or it's a way to interact with that digital twin. And one thing I would like to kind of differentiate here is virtual tour versus a 3D immersive tour. And so there are a lot of virtual tour providers that exist out there today. But a lot of those providers are really just providing a kind of a slick, I would say, 360 slideshow, solution with 360 photos, whereas Matterport is really providing a way to interact with a, digital copy or digital representation of that space. So you're actually in a, digital 3D space there, and being able to really understand that space in a more meaningful way. So that's really kind of the fundamental difference. I'd love to share a demo about this, Lucy, but maybe you should let me know when that's appropriate to kind of highlight the what's incorporated in the digital twin and the differences then between a 3D tour.
Let's just look at the results from our poll, and then we will go straight to the demo.
That sounds good.
So yeah, that is wonderful. Look at that. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us. And it's very encouraging. So let's go to the demo.
Yeah, great. So I'm just gonna pull up a slide here. Let's, there we go. Can we see that, yep. Lucy?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, just to highlight what I was just saying here, you could think of the digital twin as the core, the geospatial and contextual data And a 3D tour is derived from that. But there are other, because of all of that rich data that exists in the digital twin, there are other things that you can extract from that 3D digital twin. So photos, floor plans, videos, and even data and insights about that particular property. And so I'm going to go to a particular space here and just kind of show this and demonstrate this in this particular space. And so this is a, this is the 3D digital twin as I should say the 3D immersive tour that I'm viewing here. And you can see as I move from space to space here, I'm really getting a deep understanding of what this space is. But this is really more than just 360 photos. This is all of the geospatial data of that particular space. And so one of the things that I can do as I look at the space is really understand, all right, well, what is the size of this particular couch here? And is that something that if I'm going to purchase this place, something that I'm going to replace? Or is that something that, and if I am, what is the size of that, replacement furniture going to be? And so I think, showing the kind of the measurements that are accessible through the 3D immersive tour show that this is not just a 360 photo here. I mean, this is really geospatial data that exists in this space. But beyond that, there's all these other assets that can be derived from that 3D space. So I mentioned photos. So within that space, there's essentially all of these photos and different views can be derived from that particular space. You can access the floor plan through that space that can just be simply downloaded here. And so these are all of the things that, and all of, when you capture a property as a digital twin, these are all of the assets and all of the data that can be extracted from that digital twin that ultimately supports in the marketing and the, displaying the kind of the story or the essence of a particular space.
No, that's amazing. And you showed before that you can actually take the measurements from that couch and put it in a different room and assume that it fits or it doesn't, right?
That is correct. And so maybe I'll just go back to that particular feature here. So if I'm walking through this particular space here, I can go in and go to any area of this space here. And let's say I want to understand here, there's a TV. Well, what is the size of that TV? And is that TV going to be big enough for my TV, or do I need to purchase a new TV, for example? Or I can go to this room view here, and this is a version of a floor plan view, and really understand, all right, what is the size of this carpet here? And is this carpet something that I need to purchase, or I'm going to need to, maybe ask the seller in this particular case to keep. And so these are just ways in which buyers can engage in a property in a more meaningful way, through that digital twin that doesn't exist with typical kind of virtual tour solutions, that exist outside of Matterport.
And you are kind of bringing us to another question. How does it help for buyers and sellers when the realtor is offering Metaport? So what will the buyer and the seller, and we can start with the seller, what the seller and the buyer are gaining from it? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, maybe I can answer that question with like a personal story myself. So I recently, well, not recently anymore, I guess about 3 years ago, sold a home and purchased a new home. And as part of that process in selling the home, my agent requested my family and I to basically move out of the property for a month. I need to be able to access your property, allow visitors to come, conduct open houses, et cetera, et cetera. And while that was very effective and we ultimately got several bids and sold the property well, it was very disruptive to myself and to my family. And so having a Matterport and a 3D digital twin really would have allowed my agent to have more productive showings at the property, which would make my life a little bit less disruptive, but also make the agent experience and the agent time also more productive. And so when you have a 3D digital twin that exists of a property, it allows buyers to engage in that property in a much more material way. And so when they do show up on site, they're much more serious and they have a much better understanding of that property, making the time on site and the visits on site much more efficient. In addition, that's just, from my perspective as a seller, and we've seen that in the data, and I'll kind of share that a little bit more here. But in addition, a 3D digital twin really provides sellers a way to market their property in the highest quality and the most advanced ways. And so, if my agent uses Matterport, I'm really feeling that the agent is doing the very best and leveraging the very best of technology to get my property sold. And that's something that, I want to be sure of as a seller, that my agent is really doing everything that they can to get the best possible offer and ultimately get the property sold in the best possible way.
I would like to add to it, Brendan, is that lately people are not just moving from street to street, not even town to town, it's state to state and sometimes across the country. So you can't just pick up and go and fly for 6 hours just to look at one place or two places. So I think Metaport offers the ability for someone to view as many properties as possible and maybe not make a decision, but make a decision that those three they have to see, and then they can fly and see it. But lately, quite a few clients are purchasing properties without even looking at them in person. So Metaport does the job.
For sure. And maybe that goes towards like, well, what is the benefit for the buyer here? And the benefits are real. So I would classify them as two ways. One, it's what is the initial impression of a particular property, and then one supporting in getting to close. So on that initial impression, we see data through our portal partners like Zillow, Redfin, et cetera, that listings that have a 3D tour get on average 68% more views than listings that don't. And so in terms of widening the funnel and having more buyers engage in a particular property, having a 3D tour is a very effective way to do that. And in addition, we did a survey with a third-party research firm, so arm's length, to really understand how are consumers viewing the value of Matterport and trying to lean in those areas. But the results of the survey were really interesting. And one stat in particular, 61% of buyers said they wished a listing had a 3D tour. And then, to your point, Lucy, on, looking at properties and even potentially purchasing properties without even showing up on site, 46% of millennial buyers, so these are usually first-time buyers, said that they'd be confident in making an offer on a home that they only toured virtually. And so having that Matterport, really broadens the funnel of potential buyers. And then the second piece, and I think this is important, something that certainly would have helped me when I purchased my property. For most buyers, I mean all buyers really, purchasing a home is a very considered decision, and it's something that you don't do in isolation, and ideally you're not doing on a whim. And so, when I purchased my home, I wanted to visit that property several times to get confident that I was making the right decision, and actually have family members and stakeholders in my life also visit that property to get their opinions. But that's very disruptive to the selling agent. It's disruptive to the seller to allow me into the property all of those times. Having a 3D digital twin essentially allows me to visit that property unlimited times. It allows me to share that property with all of the stakeholders in my life, so that I'm getting their opinions, and I don't need to engage in the seller or the seller's agent to then access the property to do that. And so, so not only does it help at kind of broadening the funnel, if you will, on potential buyers, but it makes, once buyers are ready to commit to a particular property, it makes them more serious about their property and gives you as an agent the ability to generate more serious buyers, that ultimately creates more offers that support in generating a higher price for the seller.
I also would like to add to it, Brendan, and you were talking about, let's say someone is purchasing the property and they want to remodel something. So just like you showed us with the rug, you can actually do remodeling, like you can measure the floor, or you can measure the tile in the kitchen. And the Home Depot will work with you as a buyer, though you are not even moving in yet, but you can start thinking about it. You can start pricing things out, and you can use Metaport as a tool to prepare for remodeling.
Absolutely. In fact, we've seen several agents use Matterport twice as part of selling a property. So once that listing is secured from the seller, there's an agreement that upgrades are needed. Well, at that point, they will Matterport the property, and then that provides them the ability to send that digital twin to contractors who can provide bids without even showing up to the property. And so, I did this, wasn't as part of our sale, but when we did a renovation on our home, because I have access to Matterport and I was familiar with Matterport, I scanned the property, but I was able to solicit bids from, several dozen contractors, without having any of them show up to the house. And this was in the middle of the pandemic. And so, it was a bit, we weren't as comfortable with having people show up to the house, but it also was a very seamless process. And if I was to do another renovation, I would do it all again. Being able to go into that digital twin, measure the elements of this space, really view kind of the areas that we're thinking about doing the renovation, provides that contractor all of the information needed in order to provide an appropriate bid. And then the second time, once that renovation is done, we do the scan again, and we market the property in the best way that we can.
You got it. We do have a couple questions, and since we're right there on topic, I thought we should bring it up. Why is it called a digital twin instead of a digital tour?
Yeah, so it's a digital twin because it's really a digital copy of that physical space. And so, so what we're doing is really capturing that geospatial data and creating a digital twin or a digital copy of that space. The tour is then just one way to interact with that geospatial data. And so that is a kind of almost think of it as a user experience that allows you to access that digital twin. But the digital twin is a lot more than just the tour. It's all of that rich contextual data and geospatial data. And as part of a future question here, not to get ahead of ourselves, Lucy, but we'll talk about what additional data can be derived. It's not just the measurements or the geospatial data, but what is in that particular property? What is the what is the furnishings? What is the equipment type and the value of the fridge and the stove? That is all part of that digital twin. And so and the digital tour is just a way to view that.
Excellent. And so another question we had, how do we, and I would love to ask that question myself, how do we train our clients, our buyers, or our sellers who, let's say, for example, if the seller is aware that certain remodeling has to be done before they put the house on the market, how our customers, the final user, can get trained?
Will get trained in what way, Lucy? Just
into understanding how to measure what they can get out of it, how to talk, just like you when you were dealing with your subcontractors. How do you introduce it to your subcontractor? Yeah.
So the way that so there's various ways. I would say broadly, Matterport is pretty well known amongst buyers and sellers today. Some of the stats that I shared here about 41% of millennials, for example, think 3D virtual tours are valuable. People that have gone through that selling process. I think I have a stat here: 68% of buyers have said that they wish that there was a virtual tour, connected to a particular property. And so I think there's a lot of awareness of what Matterport is. I think the misconception is, when should Matterport be used? What we generally see is Matterport is largely used in luxury listings as a kind of an add-on or a as a kind of an additional feature, not part of that kind of base package, if you will, as a base marketing package. And I think there's kind of two broad misconceptions that that the market has, that this is where maybe the education needs to exist. So one, it's Matterport is expensive, and so that's something that through the Matterport's acquisition of VHT, that's something that we're looking to change. We will really make Matterport available and as part of these packages that include photography and other solutions, and make it very, very cost effective to do that. Actually right now we have I believe, Lucy, we have a Matterport promo, so you can access a Matterport and a floor plan for $99.
You can't beat that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyone can access that. So it is a very cost effective solution. But also, I think there's a misconception generally that it's only useful for high-end listings. And so what we see is that for everyday listings, Matterport has some value, whether it's in supporting the renovation work, whether it's to broaden that buyer base. And so as part of that same survey, we saw 41% of millennials share that 3D virtual tours were an important part of purchasing those homes. Most millennial buyers are first-time home buyers, and they're not buying luxury listings. They're buying that everyday listing, if you will. And so that's a huge pool of potential buyers that are requesting the access to this to this tool that really help and support selling those properties and getting the highest possible offer. And so in short, I think there's a lot of education has already happened. I think the market is very familiar. I think where we have some work to do is highlight all of the ways in which Matterport is valuable, both from a promotion perspective and from an operate or renovation perspective, that really allows agents to better support their sellers and ultimately provide or secure the highest possible offers for a particular property.
And Bernard is saying that his wife, who is an agent, uses Metaport as pre-listing tool, marketing tool, as well as the means to get bids from vendors and like carpet countertops and so on. So yes, that's exactly what you were talking about. Someone was asking, if you are doing Metaport and drone photography for the roof, can you avoid inspection? I'm just going to give you my opinion. I don't think you can avoid inspection because everything has to be working. So someone physically have to come in and turn on the water and all the appliances and such. So I think it will be easier for the inspector to get the results, and it will be much faster. But I think you still have to invite someone and pay your $500, right? So next question is, well, we already spoke about the Metaport should really be used for any property. It doesn't have to be high end. Obviously it helps, but it doesn't have to be. And besides using the Metaport digital twin to promote a property, what else can agents or homeowners use the Metaport digital twin for? So when we were talking about the measurements and helping the inspection, getting the floor plan out. By the way, that floor plan comes in as a JPEG and PDF. You can and you should use it in your print material if you are providing your listing with a brochure. So that is also amazing. I believe in floor plans and including floor plans in print. So I think that is very helpful. And how do you envision Metaport's 3D technology evolving in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, in a lot of ways, so Matterport is making a lot of investments and really kind of, driving innovation as it relates to the value of a digital twin and then ultimately how that can be leveraged to support in the promotion, marketing, selling, leasing of particular properties. And so some of the things that are available today that we're working with, our partners at VHT and ultimately going to provide a combined service offering So I'll share maybe some of the highlights of some of those things today, and then longer term, where the technology is going and ways that we can interact with 3D digital twins in a more meaningful way. And so I think the best way for me to do this is via a demo here again. So I'm going to pull up my screen here. Let me, oops, hold on. All right, Lucy, can you see that?
Yes, yep.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's jump into this space here. So, this is that same space that kind of we were highlighting earlier today. This is, a view of the account of Matterport. And so account owners have access to these tools today. We're working right now to provide the access to, the end customers, so agents and brokers alike, and those solutions will be ready in the Q4, Q1 timeframe. But just to give a preview here, so one element of a 3D tour is, again, all of the contextual data. And what I mean by the contextual data is, what are the things in this space beyond, the geospatial elements of this space? What are the items in this space? So if I go over here and I want to understand more about what is this fridge, I can click on this link here, and it shows me exactly what that fridge is. Oops, and then I'm actually in the wrong view here. Let me go back to this here. And so I can click on this here and view this, and through the kind of user experience, click on that fridge, and then see exactly what piece of equipment is in the particular property. And so through what we call matter tags, you can tag a property that ultimately helps you tell a better story about that space in the virtual context. Again, providing buyers more of an ability to understand that space and improving the productivity of an agent. Now, an agent, a selling agent, doesn't have to have thousands of the same conversations about a particular space. That can all be done here through the virtual tour. Another element of the virtual tour is something that we call guided tours. And so this is something that we're going to be releasing and making it more user-friendly for the market to leverage this. But you can go in and actually create a guided tour about a particular space. So let's say I want to frame this particular room. I'm going to add that particular highlight here. And now that's added down here. And then I'm just going to add, living room. And so, and then I can add a descriptor or add links to that. But if I now start to preview this kind of guided virtual tour, I'm basically providing a way for customers to engage in this property in the specific way that I want them to engage with, highlighting certain areas of the particular property. Maybe it's the Asian-inspired kitchen here with descriptors applied to it, or just that living room that I just kind of shared here. So these are tools that aren't available today that we're going to make it easy for the agents and brokers to be able to leverage. So those are things that are coming very, very, very soon. And ultimately, Lucy, and I think you coined this, what we're trying to do at Matterport is help agents tell the story of a property in a better way. And so all of these tools that exist through the digital twin really facilitate the ability to do that. So that's near term, and then I'll share maybe your reactions, Lucy, and then we'll talk about longer term, things that excite me about things here at Matterport.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that everything excites you about Metaport, Brendan. But there is a really good question. Are there any tutorials that that provided so the agents can train and can spend some time with their buyers and sellers, and also they need training as well? So the tutorials, are they available or not? And then another one, is it possible to download the Metaport and save it for the future use? That's a good question, and I know you have a really good answer. For example, after the closing, when will they have the rights to keep the Metaport, and for how long?
Yeah. So, so on the first question, there are lots of tutorials on the Matterport website. So Matterport has a support page and a help page, and there's very detailed information there about all of the capabilities of Matterport. So would highly recommend visiting that help page. Lucy, I can provide that link. Maybe we can provide that to the audience as well. But there's a lot of very detailed information on the ways that Matterport can be used in these types of creative ways that I've highlighted here. And then to answer the second question, so Matterport, the digital twin itself and the way to interact with the digital twin is best done through kind of the Matterport software. You can kind of think of this as like using Adobe Acrobat to view a PDF. You need specific software to be able to view that data in a way that is user-friendly and allows you to explore it in an intuitive way. There are elements of the 3D digital twin that can be downloaded, however. Things like the floor plan, things like the photos. We have something that's called the Matter Packs. And so this is largely used in the construction AEC space, but the point cloud data, E57 files, we don't really see that being used so much in residential real estate for promotion purposes, because that data is not simple to interact with. You need to import it into software that allows you to render it and interact with it. And so the Matterport's cloud account and the software we provide is really the best way to, to continue to interact with that data. But in terms of being able to save that data or be able to continue to use that data, having the Matterport SaaS account is the best way to do that. Our SaaS accounts are very cheap. That allows you to hold and archive models and keep those models for as long as you need them. And so those subscriptions accounts that Matterport has really is the best way for you to preserve the 3D digital twins that you're capturing and then access them, time and time again.
Cool. And then we have one more very interesting question. How do you envision Metaport 3D technology evolving in the future?
Yeah, so what this is kind of the one area that I'll add. It's so we're continuing to go deeper on the providing kind of really great experiences that can be accessed through the digital twin. But one of the other areas that we're going deeper in is what we're calling our datification strategy. And so as we capture these spaces, because this is the geospatial contextual data of the space, there is all of the insights of that property can be extracted in ways that could be useful to to agents, to brokers alike. And so, for example, automatically labeling rooms, automatically generating room dimensions within the particular property, object detection. So cataloging all of the contents of the property automatically without having to to do that manually. Those are the kind of the data insights that we're going to be generating from that space. So once you capture that space, you can just download a list of all of the contents of that space to support in providing that list of contents either to a potential buyer, displaying what's in the space, or to support in the marketing tools. In addition, we have kind of user insights. And so, what I just did and showed here, we consider that a session, me as a potential buyer engaging in the property, and where I view the property, where I spend time in that property, what things I care about. I was looking at the fridge. How long was I looking at that fridge? all of that can be tracked and we can generate a heat map, if you will, of all of the visitors to a particular property to then show a seller what people care about. And so when people come on site to that particular property, I know where people have been viewed or have viewed that property. I know what people are caring about, and I'm going to focus on expanding on those areas to really highlight the benefits of purchasing that particular property. So those are some of the future areas that we are going to be investing in. And then, longer term are things like, how, rating properties, how nice is the kitchen? If you were to update the kitchen, what is the average value increase that you would see in that particular property? And so by scanning that property, those insights will be generated, and that can provide a report to an agent that then allows the agent to inform the seller on the best ways to maximize the value as part of that transaction. So
I think it's fabulous. Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. And those things are coming a lot sooner than you think. So the earlier you start using Matterport, the earlier you'll get access to those things. And the more confident your seller is going to be in your capabilities as an agent. So.
I agree with you. And I would like to encourage our realtors also to, the ones who are not using Metaport as much, to practice. Just play with it, understand how to jump from floor to floor, how to glide from room to room, how to zoom in. So this way you also offer a very nice and smooth and positive experience for your clients, because you can have your Zoom meetings, and just like you showed the demo, that's how you can show the property with your potential buyers from out of state. So yes, I think it's great, but please practice at least a little bit, and then you can advance, and you can start measuring and so on, and go through tutorials. I think that's very important.
Indeed. And so, Kate, maybe if I want to share one last thing, will be 1 minute, and then we'll go to Q&A. But the final area that we're also going to be making some advancements in is not just indoor capture, but is also capturing the full property. And including the outside. So I have a demo or an example of this here. If we can, oops. And
that is recent, right? Because for a while, Metaport was not really able to provide the outside, and now we can scan the outside and the grounds, the backyard, and everything else. Correct?
That is correct. So this, we've recently launched our new Pro 3 camera, and our Pro 3 camera allows for outdoor capturing. And so this was a property in Lake Tahoe. Unfortunately, it was a smoky day. California, continues to be impacted by fires here. Otherwise, this view would be pretty incredible. But, you can see here, this provides an ability for buyers to not only engage in the inside of the property, but to really understand what this property looks like on the outside. And so I can now tour this property and go visit this beach here.
And go for a swim.
And go for a swim, exactly. And really this gives me a much better feel of not just the insides of a particular property, but also the full property, the indoors and the outside. And I know when I look at spaces, I'm very conscious about what the outside of a space looks like and feels like, because I spend a lot of time outside. And so, having a virtual tour that's not just internal, but that includes the outdoor spaces or the full property line, that's something that is coming in the very near future that we want to provide to all of our agents and ultimately all sellers alike. So,
and I would like to ask you, and if you don't have the answer now, maybe you can get it for us later. And by the way, someone did ask for your statistics. So if you can provide Kate and I with statistics, so we can do the follow-up and send Absolutely. It to everybody. Yeah. Do you have the statistics on how long on average, let's say on average house of 3,000 square feet, how long the buyer is spending? So is it like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact statistic with me now, and I'll definitely be able to share. But it's material. It's we see on our portals that properties with 3D tours and listings, are spending between 3 to 5 times as amount of time on that listing page than those that don't, because it really, they're really engaged in the property and they're able to examine that property in more material ways. In terms of the exact amount of time, I don't have that stat with me right now, Lucy. I'm sure that's something that I can find and follow up with. But it is, it is materially different than properties that don't have a 3D tour. So,
thank you.
We have one more question here. Catherine is wondering if Matterport will be offering videos.
Yes, actually we do offer that even today. Again, this is maybe on their shorter term items that will be made available, but we through the virtual tour, we auto generate these short clips that highlight particular areas of the property, and those short clips can be edited by the agent or the photographer or whoever is supporting on that particular property. And we see those videos used a lot for social media posts.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're kind of anywhere from 10 to 25 seconds, depending on the size of the property, and are great, posts for social media and really kind of highlight the key areas that ultimately drive, engagement via social media. So yes, those can be auto-generated from the Matterport model and don't cost a thing. It comes as part of the package of Matterport.
And you also showed us an interactive floor plan, not our traditional interactive floor plan, where you have black and white floor plan with images that photographer took, but you showed us how you can go to the dollhouse and you can pull the floor plan and play with it right there. So that was amazing.
Yeah, and we call the black and white floor plans schematic floor plans, and they're typically built towards like certain specifications. In some markets, built towards like the regulatory requirements in those markets. But with any URL that's sent out, there's a floor plan mode you can go into and interact with that property. And anyone that has access to that link can do so in that way.
Thank you. I would like to ask our audience, please put in a chat or email me. Would you like to have a webinar where we can practice and we can work like hands-on with Metaport for you to understand additional features that you can offer to your clients? I would really like to know, and we can have it done as a webinar for everybody, similar to Lunch with Lucy, but with Brendan spending more time and answering your questions. And we can also have it by company. So just let us know, or you can talk to your broker and we can make arrangements where we can have it specifically for just your firm.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
Very cool.
Okay,
Yes.
you see, everyone wants to have a webinar.
Yeah.
Here we go.
well, we should do a webinar, and Lucy brings up, like, we'd be more than happy to do education sessions, even at particular brokerages. And so if that's interesting of you, that can be a little bit more personalized, smaller venues. So we'd be more than happy to engage on that. And ultimately, we really want to expose all of the benefits and all of the ways that you can use Matterport to support and sellers and buyers alike. So we'd be very excited to be able to do that.
So maybe we can send a survey as well, and then just organize it by brokerage. I think that would be the most effective way. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your questions. So
yeah, and Brendan, what's the best way that people can ask more questions or just find out more information about Matterport?
Yeah, visiting our website is the best way. That has all of the information, everything from just the newest features, the newest hardware, the newest service capabilities, also the support pages. But then if you're within that website, if you're looking to contact us and really learn more and go deeper, contact our sales team, our support teams. They're very responsive. All of that contact information is very easily available on the website. We don't hide it. We want to have conversations with everyone, and so feel free to view the website and reach out to us. We'd love to have conversations with everyone here. So.
And you can also reach out to your salesperson from VHT, and they will be a liaison between you and Metaport. So they will be able to assist you because they always have someone like a go-to person.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, I think that's probably the best route, to be honest, Lucy, because then it can be personalized to that particular engagement. So, if you're working with VHT today, there's certain ways that, Matterport is already available to you. And so with that context, then we can support, with VHT in providing the education and ultimately provide offers that really kind of, again, help you sell your listing and make you more productive with every single listing that you have.
Thank you.